Now, the tech landscape in Nigeria has evolved rapidly over the past decade, creating numerous opportunities for a thriving tech career. As the second largest economy in Sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria stands out with its robust GDP, youthful and tech-savvy population, and extensive digital connectivity, solidifying its role as a crucial economic force in Africa. With the growth of tech-related sectors such as fintech, e-commerce, and digital health, alongside the promising sectors of edtech, cybersecurity, amongst others, has given room for persons to look inwards for a profitable source of living rather than migrate to other countries. Joining us via Zoom is Professor of Cybersecurity and Information Technology Management, Professor Ojo Emmanuel Ademola. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, when we're talking cybersecurity in the Nigerian perspective, help us better understand how well protected we are.
Thank you very much for that question. It appears we are talking about the challenges. Cybersecurity is all about protecting our national critical infrastructure. But if you are seeing how prepared we are or where we are, then we are talking about the multifaceted approach into addressing those challenges. For example, the infrastructural challenges. How would this, one way or the other, help us in the tech space? Because you are into tech space, digital transformation, then majorly you should be talking about protecting those infrastructure. And with the current reformations going on, and what NITDA and other government agency is doing, coupled with professional bodies, I think I will say the awareness is aggravating gradually, but we are not yet there anyway.
Right. What is your assessment of the terrain as we speak? Yes, things look promising in terms of enhancing innovation and development, really. But how do you view the tech space in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. The development are taking place apparently due to some of the government reforms. For example, in the area of capacity investing in our broadband internet access and so on and so forth, and the training level, for example, the 3MTT, the 3 million training for tech, the Broadband Alliance. I know you are aware that they are saying the internet accessibility across the country is 0.04%, which is highly not acceptable. But with a government funding initiative of saying that, okay, we want to have optic fiber of about 90,000 kilometers across the country connected, that's a good thing in the right direction. And then the investment in communication infrastructure, we need to improve on that. At the moment, yes, some organizations partnering with government are doing some work in that area, but we still need to scale up in order for us to meet with international standard.
Of interest to me, the need for us to scale up, especially with regards to infrastructure, so that we can meet up international standards. Are we showing signs of being interested at scaling up? And if we intend to scale up, where exactly do we need to scale up as it is? In recent times, we have seen a number of incidents. For instance, recently, the EFCC arrested some group of young boys who were gathered together in a particular space, and what they were said to be doing was to be hacking people's details, and it was an international organization or international persons. I don't want to mention names, but countries outside of Nigeria came into Nigeria to use these persons to be hacking other people's information, harvesting information, and all of it. How do we protect ourselves? What kinds of infrastructure do we need to avoid these kinds of incidents as a country and even as individuals?
Thank you very much. In the digital age, we talk about dual responsibilities between the government and the citizen. The government will work on the area of regulatory, that is coming up with robust regulatory framework, while the citizen will also be free and have what we call cybersecurity mindset. How do you cultivate the habit of cybersecurity mindset? You are aware of your information, your privacy. You know whom you are. You know your identity, yourself. You know where you want to be, how you want to get there. So which area do I need to use tech? Which area do I need just to be natural to my environment, sensitive to our environment? That's about having a cybersecurity mindset. For citizens, you see, you scale up in the area of awareness. On the other hand of it, the government have to provide infrastructure, investment in, for example, let me use the tech, the mobile, for example, the mobile banking, the fintech. Then the bank must work collaboratively with researchers. I've been suggesting over the years that there should be policy from government to encourage the banks working in people community to invest. The bank must directly have opportunity through policy to invest in university research in the area of protecting national critical infrastructures, and those working about assets protections into the fintech platform. For example, the Paga, whatever, is doing well. The Footwave also is also doing well, but there should be what we call strategy, synergy between service provider and the citizen. And government can do this by coming up with sufficient regulatory framework, and also individual must be highly aware. Just have the mindset. Just be your own cyber secure individual by making sure that your identity is well protected and you follow every framework laid down by the government in protecting this and protecting yourself. Thank you.
And let's also take you up further on the latter part of your last answer, where you spoke about the need for sufficient regulatory framework, for a sufficient regulatory framework on the part of government, because there's also been this concern that government also needs to strike a delicate balance so as not to stifle innovation, on that space. Yet, of course, people are also needing involvement of governments to be sure that all these nefarious activities are curbed and every other needs for the government to intervene in are addressed. How does the government strike that balance?
The question of striking balance, thank you, that's a very good question. It's for government to invest in our communication infrastructure. They just need to invest in that. Thank you. Now that the president is presenting the budget, we want to see a high percentage for communication and digital economy. If you don't invest heavily in technology, then there's no balancing out anywhere. Let's invest in our communication technology. Let government work with communication provider. For example, when you travel across the country, even basic telephone that we have in our hand, since 1999, they are about up to now, you are highly disappointed with internet access. The provider can come up, that could be a regulatory kind of a policy or kind of compliance issue that the provider must invest also heavily in the area of they provide service. For example, if you are MTN, you are Glo, you are there about Airtel, you take what we call corporate responsibility. In the area where your clients, your customers are, you break into the blue ocean there and begin to invest there in partnership with government. Government are just because we don't want them to interfere into our free speech. We don't want government to interfere or begin to monitor us. Then government just needs to invest heavily in those infrastructures, e-commerce infrastructures. It also needs to invest heavily to protect what we can call the critical national infrastructures, irrespective of the challenges. The answer to your question is invest, invest, and invest. Look at various ways to invest. And this will really help us as we continue to tap into opportunities and maximize the opportunity in this space. As I told you before, the funding initiative of trying to, the government is saying they want to, it's a laudable one, 90,000 kilometers of optic fiber layout throughout the country. I know at a point, Glo also is laying optic fiber. I don't know how far they have gone now. What I'm saying is that there must be partnership between government and service provider in order to invest heavily in Nigeria communication infrastructure, so that we also can begin to even be net exporter of communication services, instead of we continue to be users. So let's invest on that. I was suggesting in a meeting yesterday, an institute yesterday, that listen, it is time for us, for the government to begin to invest in coding village. For example, let them invest in coding village across all the 774 local government we have. At least have one coding village in each local government. From there, accessibility will increase, awareness will increase, and thank God, thank the tech people. What I'm trying to say there is that we now have a local government kind of freedom, autonomy, one way or the other. Let local government take care of that and begin to invest in coding village, whereby we can begin to decide some of this grassroots accessibility. For example, the government initiative of broadband alliance. You see, when that begin to bring outcome, result, then I can assure you that we are scaling up and scaling up fast. That would be my response to that question. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like for you to expatiate more on this matter of investment that you have mentioned. The government needs to invest more. And in terms of perhaps monetary terms now, what amount do you think is enough? The president just passed the budget. Part of the breakdown, I'm not sure or certain that cybersecurity, anything has to do with cybersecurity, but we know about defense and all of that being present there. And so I'm asking, in your perspective, how much should a government like ours put aside or set aside for investment in cybersecurity? That's on the one hand. On the matter of persons, individuals, you mentioned earlier on that individuals also need to ensure that they are cyber secure. How can they ensure that? These are two questions in one.
Very good question. Thank you very much. Technology has taken place the whole world itself because you need data, and technology needs to help you to acquire data, process data. If you want to make decisions in every area of life, healthcare, agriculture, everywhere, data transformation is the answer. Even domestically at home, I'm reaching to you now, you are reaching to me through our digital transformation platform and so on and so forth. So when you are not talking about investing in it, the United Nations, I was involved with just an element of United Nations drug and crime, and we are advising the company businesses at least to set aside 45%, if not 65% of their budget on investing on communication infrastructures, because that will determine how you will continue to advance or having economic development or sustainability of whatever you are doing. So I won't put a precise figure on that, but it's not good enough. For example, the internal accessibility in Nigeria is about 0.04%, and we have over 200 million population, if not about moving to about 250 or thereabout. And in the next 5 years, permit me to say, it has been predicted that by 2035, Nigeria will be the singularly biggest nation in the global south, nations across the world. So when you are talking about investment, that's why I'm saying it's a matter not for government alone, but partner with private and individual. If you ask me to put figure on it, I'll put it in percentage. You need to begin to budget for individual, budget minimum of your 25% into securing yourself when it comes to cyber security. Because at the end of the day, you are attacked personally, what you are going to lose for you to recover, or you have to be looking for extra 25% in addition to 100% you have in your hand in order to get yourself back. So also company. You see, when company are hacking too, you see what happens. In fact, in developed nation, they have agencies that will find company. If you for one reason or the other, your infrastructure as a company is hacking too, and that they will find you because you don't protect yourself enough, you don't protect the citizen enough, they find you. So that's why companies in developed nations, in global north nations, you have to invest heavily, and they normally put there. I have a platform whereby we discuss with a CIO of companies, and they are always talking about 75% of their budget now into every area of communication and technology in their business. So why not in Nigeria as well? You see, in education, in healthcare, you need to budget heavily. Government need to budget heavily, at least 45% to start with. With that, combined with, coupled with what private company will also bring, then we begin to say that we are ready to move forward and to secure ourselves, our national critical infrastructure, and whatever we need to secure, especially our borders as well. Thank you.
Right, let's also talk about training now, how sufficient training is, especially in light of the federal government's efforts to create 1 million jobs or to train 1 million youth in collaboration with the academia, which you belong to. Tell us about how much of a breakthrough you think this could bring to the industry, and what are you even seeing on ground to assure that this is truly something coming to fruition?
Thank you very much. Good question. If I want to do a comparative analysis of or in the area of awareness, training, you agree with me that what is 1 million, what is 3 million? For example, let's take accessibility to higher education in Nigeria, and that means that all students in our own university or tertiary or further education, colleges of education, and so forth, all students must be tech aware, must be cybersecurity aware. Even at that, look at the population of those who are admitting to the university every year. So government must scale up. That's why I was suggesting the issue of let it be grassroots. Fortunately, you don't need to be a high-top mathematician or to know mathematics deeply or any sense of logic for you to have simple cyber secure framework in place. And accessing those tools, you can come up with cyber essential, even starting from our secondary school. So even 3 million, 1 million is highly discounting or highly decimating. We should be looking at cyber secure essential awareness program across the board. Talking about university, we're talking about organization. Let's start from local government, in our health institutions. So, because data is everywhere, data surpasses beyond oil and gas we are talking about. So, what we are saying here is that in the area of awareness, if I want to do a comparative analysis or comparative outcome, that's why we are not service providers. That's why we are consumers of even cybersecurity products. That's why we are mostly act into a lot of fraudulent activities going on, because we are not investing in awareness, training. We are not working with experts in this field. And most of our decision makers, if they are expert now in the issue of politics and bringing in people who are obsolete in knowledge, so that will not help us. What we need to do is that we should be serious about it. If possible, we declare intellectual cybersecurity emergency, and we begin to look at those gaps, analyze those gaps, and begin to look at awareness. How can we scale up in this area? As I've been saying, I will also suggest it. I'm recommending it now. The local government, we must start awareness from local government. Let's start from each local government or LDC, whatever, headquarters, and put coding village there. And we begin to educate our children. You see, from there, we begin to scale up. At this stage now, how many of us are aware of cybersecurity in this country? Which percentage into it? You cannot get up to 0. If our internet access is 0.04, then do you think we have awareness? The awareness rate, don't let me talk about it. It's negative anyway. So it's negative.
All right. Since there's a knowledge gap, I'm trying to make judicious use of the little time we have left. Since there's a knowledge gap, and you're recommending rather, that we should have a coding village in the 774 local government areas of the country, so we can ensure that everyone gets a good hang of what cybersecurity is about. Do we have the experienced hands that would handle teaching these people across the 774 local government areas that you have spoken about? You're talking about children, you're talking about adults, you're talking about hospitals, you're talking about local government chairmen, and all of it, every strata as it is. Do we have the qualified hands that would enable or that would be able to teach people what cybersecurity is? And what structure, from your perspective, will this coding village take?
Thank you very much. That's very good question. You know, I've just mentioned about cyber security essential. That's why I mentioned the issue of coding village. That the way we should look at it should be a grassroots something. And you are talking about expertise. Fortunately for us, we need to be involved. There are different, I know, for example, NITDA, I know state are also, like Borno State, they are also having a scaling version of NITDA in their state. And the issue of expertise is a straightforward one. Start with having framework from experts, work with the university to develop training modules, collaborate. There are a lot of off-the-shelf awareness packages. For example, in Global North, even banks. Now, for example, I will not bank with a bank who will not provide awareness into how I will secure my infrastructure of accessing my account. I will not bank with them. In fact, there's regulation under the GDPR in Europe, for example. The UK now has its own, and America also has its own. I know recently that Nigeria also has something similar, but I've not seen bank, for example, cooperating in that area, having their own awareness session, whereby they will cyber aware their customer. That's how to go about it. You is a grassroots, purely grassroots something. You don't need much of expert at this stage, you see, because you can just take some off the shelf software, and that's what they do in the coding village. Concurrently, you are raising expert through the coding village while you are tapping into a global partnership in the area of platform available for you in order to train yourself. You can. I'm aware that Microsoft is working with the Ministry of Treasury, but we must see things moving very, very, very fast. There are a lot of off-the-shelf packages in order to cyber secure awareness of the citizen. That's what I'm trying to put to us here. Let's start by making good, robust use of our opportunity in collaborating. You see, for example, Zoom that you use communication platform, all this MS Team, the Microsoft will always put there how to securely access. Then let's have access to that. That's part of the thing we discussed in Coding Village. It's like a school. As well, our finance houses must also up the game. See, by investing in that awareness session of their service provisions, by trying to, they must come up, and there must be policy from government. And listen, you must have at least 35% awareness content on your website on how your service user will access your platform. When you begin to do that, when you begin to use robust policy like that, you see, there can be policy for central bank, for example, that some of the money they remit directly to central bank can be remitted to between the banks, for example, and the academia. By that, you can begin to raise experts and spend money into that. While we concurrently do what we call awareness training, where you don't need too much expertise. You use off-the-shelf software, train yourself. There are many things we have to train ourselves, and gradually before we become an expert. In a nutshell, we need experts, we need tech-savvy people about at least in the population of the tech-aware people, we must have 10% expert. But you don't start from there. Start using off-the-shelf software. Start training yourself. Let even hospital, our health service begin to add values by even on their website. You can put how to secure yourself, how to use your phone to access this facility, how to use your phone to book appointment with your doctor or whatever. This is how it goes. And using that strategy is purely a kind of multifaceted approach. We don't leave government alone to it. We must drive digital economy. It's about integration of all this technology into businesses, into household, into whatever we do. And if it involves everywhere, it must also involve everybody. So before we talk about expert, let's talk about the fundamental awareness, educating ourselves through off-the-shelf provisions. And from there, we can begin to escalate our knowledge and become more robust. And we become, before you know it,
all right.
I know in some global north, like Singapore, they are tigers. Most of their populations are even tech savvy.
Okay.
Then we get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor of Cybersecurity and Information Technology Management, Professor Ojo Emmanuel Adebola, for your time on the program. So much has been said. In fact, we have been tutored this morning by you. Thank you once again. This is where we leave the conversation. Thank you.